Hello there, and welcome to episode 12 of Building Barry's Amusements in Minecraft. In today's episode, we're building Keiland as well as the surrounding area. I've done a lot of work on this project over the past few days, and a lot of footage has been cut out, but I spent a really long time building this, so I appreciate if you would subscribe to see what the end product will be like. Today's episode will be a little bit longer, so do what you do with normal long videos, maybe get your popcorn or something and enjoy the video. So to start this episode, we're going to be building the buildings that are just across the road from Barry's on the access road. I'm not too sure what's in them, but it looks like houses, but I know the final two buildings are mini golf as well as the Coco Cafe. Coco is actually a really nice cafe, by the way. But as you can see, I'm now building the first building, which looks to be like this house thing because it's got a garage and stuff, and sometimes I see a car parked out. But if you know what it is, leave a comment down below. So now we're moving on to the much larger building, which has this big glass thing that views over the entire beach. The only reason why I remember this section of the building is because I remember being down on the beach and could see the lights of Keiland flashing against it, such as the Hulk Miami. The green lights were like going up against the windows of it, and like it was kind of cool to look from the beach. But by the way, I leave most of the buildings here empty because I'm not too sure what's inside them, as well as it's not really the main thing about it because you're more likely there to see berries and stuff. Now these buildings were extremely easy to do. In this footage, I only show me doing the facade, but off camera I did do the back section. But now we're moving on to the Coco section of the building. This is just where the small cafe is, and I'm aware before that it used to be like a small garage. But now we're moving on to the mini golf building. This has kind of a long story because originally the building was actually just an arcade with tons and tons of kiddie rides in it. From the outside, the building looked kind of like run down because it just had these like flashing neon lights that did not look very good, that just said Amusements open. But in 2018, it was overhauled to Finn's Escape Adventure Golf. And the building looks really good. Quick question though, does anyone know who actually owns the building? Is it actually Keiland who still owns the mini golf, or does a different company own it now? So now we're beginning Keiland, and we're continuing on with this building, and this is the only remnants from the original Kiddieland. What I mean by that is, just like what I said about the Amusements Open building, it was kind of run down, kind of strange looking and stuff. Basically, before 2015, Keiland was basically just a place with a go-kart track, actually 3 go-kart tracks, a teacup ride, these small children's rides, as well as in Miami. But then around 2015 some more rides got to be added. Actually, Keiland's actually been looking very good since 2018 when the mini golf was added on, as well as the fact that some more rides were added that were not owned by the owner John Adcroft, such as Thomas Wilmot's Hulk Miami, the Runaway Train roller coaster, Jensen Cadona's Street Dancer Miami, as well as the Viva Mexico Miami, which I do build in this one. Not to forget the iconic big wheel, which was added somewhere around July of 2019. But as you can see now, I've just built a little bit of a marking for where the Toontown Funhouse is going to be, as well as I've built the small stand that sells coffee and donuts. If you can't tell by now, I'm doing a recreation of Keiland in 2020 because that was probably one of my favourite years for Keiland. Because I had the brilliant Viva Mexico Miami, a really nice looking funhouse Toontown, as well as the Ferris wheel and the brilliant waltzer. Now we're beginning the Toontown funhouse. I haven't been on this funhouse, so I tried to the best I could. Personally, I don't really like funhouses that much because I find them quite claustrophobic. Personally, I think Keiland should revert to what it was like during the 1990s, especially since Barry's closed. Basically, the park was still called Kiddieland Portrush, but this time it had some quite well thrill rides. You had a Fabry top spin, a Rocco plane, a Lupo plane, a scat, a hard rock, as well as the Ulster Scene waltzer. Personally, I think Keiland should get a Matterhorn, basically Robert O'Connor's Polar Express Matterhorn. Or even something like an Alibaba I think would work, you know, like those rides like Avenger. I think those two types of rides would actually do quite well at Kiddieland. Now the only thing I know currently about the Toontown Funhouse is that first of all it has like 2 balcony sections, as well as it has a mirror maze. Due to how long this video is, I had to cut out the scene of me actually building the inside of the Toontown funhouse. It wasn't really that exciting anyway, so who cares? But that is just about me finished the facade of the Toontown funhouse, and now we're going to be moving on to Viva Mexico, Miami. So now we're moving on to Viva Mexico, personally one of my favourite Miamis. Now it took me a while to get a design I was actually happy with on this ride, but eventually I do settle with a design. Now apart from me taking a while to choose a design I was actually happy with, this was very easy to do, especially since I had a photo of it, the attraction. Now Keiland's had its fair share of Miamis, with the first Miami there actually being the world's first Miami. That's right, the world's first Miami actually operated at Kiddieland Portrush. Currently the ride's travelling over in Australia and it's called Dominator, but when I was at Keiland it was called Disco Swing. In 2012, John Adcroft, the owner of Keiland, purchased a brand new Miami which was called Fast and Furious, and that was the second Miami to operate at Keiland. It was personally a very good Miami. Unlike Hellraiser Waltzer though, this ride actually did travel a little bit because the only fair I'm aware it went to was the Coleraine Halloween Fun Fair. Then after that, Keiland just got some mediocre rides until 2019 where we got a fair Miami called Street Dancer. And I do have a photo of it being assembled. It only operated for like a month until it was replaced by Thomas Wilmot's Hulk Miami. Personally my favourite Miami, especially since it only had lap bars and it went extremely fast. The ride itself only operated for about 2 months at Keiland until it was removed and placed by a runaway train, with the only good thing about that being that it got a new coaster credit, yay! But then in 2020, Funtime Carnival, which is ran by Ivan Stringfellow, brought two of its rides, Toontown Funhouse and Viva Mexico, personally my second favourite Miami, which is the one I'm building now, but then it got replaced with Alpine Hotel in 2021. But as you can see now, I've just built the seats for Viva Mexico, which are over the shoulder restraints, as well as I'm now currently building the backdrop. Now I must admit the artwork on the back looks actually really good. So after I finish the backdrop I will be building the queue line, but I did build off camera something that I do notice from the beach, which is basically the counterweights. Basically for some reason I enjoy just looking at the counterweights like swing back and forth from the beach. It's just kind of satisfying to look at, especially when you hear the noise it makes. So now I've just added in the bottom bit, and this time the bottom bit says you can't beat the feeling. So now I'm just building the cash box. Weird story though, one time I went up to this cash box for a second go on Viva Mexico, and basically the operator said that if I go in it one more time I get a free ride, or something along the lines of that. I'm not too sure what he said, but sounded something along the lines of that. But now we're moving on to the legendary Hellraiser Waltzer. Many Scottish fairground enthusiasts may remember this ride during the 1990s. As this was the atmosphere creator of the 1990s, if you know what I mean. Basically, Hellraiser Waltzer was formerly owned by Raymond Cadona and travelled on the Scottish Fair circuit. It was eventually moved to Loudon Castle as Raymond Cadona owned it. Then it was sold to John Adcroft and placed in Kiddieland Portrush. When it first arrived, it still had Cadona references all over it, and the top part still said Cadona's, but basically the owner just jumbled up the letters and was like, and that's what it said at the top. However, 1 year afterwards, a lot of changes came, including the cash box getting all these neon lights added to it, as well as all the windows were changed to remove every single Cadona reference. And finally, the top part was changed from Cadona's to Waltzer Hellraiser. In some ways, they should have just called it Adcroft's Hellraiser because the owner is John Adcroft. It reminds me of what happened with Billy Danter's Revolution top spin. Basically, it was a very classic ride, one of the best travelling rides in the UK. Then basically, in like around 2001, the ride was exported to the Czech Republic and then exported to Russia, where it got rid of everything that made it special, as well as it making some questionable changes, such as Hellraiser Waltzer getting neon lights added to it, as well as the front section that said Waltz All Night at the Speed of Light removed, and then Revolution, all the artwork was removed and replaced with this questionable artwork. But still, Hellraiser Waltzer is my favourite, but probably Cullen's Illuminator would be my favourite, but I rode it one a time when the ride was stripped down because it was the final day of Cullen's co-reign and the rides had to be off the property by the next day. So all the effects were not in use. But now we're moving on to the iconic Big Wheel, which its actual name is the View. Unlike the other rides at Kiddieland Portrush, this one here does not require tokens, but it's an upcharge attraction and it's quite expensive to say the least. I have no idea why it's an upcharge, but I'll just do. I think it's mainly because of the scale of the attraction. This attraction is personally one of my favourite Ferris wheel and it's owned by Thomas Wilmot. The reason why I like this attraction so much is because the North Coast is one of the most beautiful areas in Northern Ireland and basically going up on a Ferris wheel and getting a view just like that is very good because you get like a view of the Giant's Causeway in the far distance. You can see the area where Dunluce Castle is. You can see out towards Portrush. You can see everywhere. You can even see a picture of the Ferris wheel in the background at the open, which is kind of cool, and it's now a very iconic landmark in Portrush. The Portrush panoramic wheel is not very good in my opinion because you don't get like a really good view. The only thing you get a good view of is the Portrush promenade. But now I'm doing the other side of the Ferris wheel and I'm also adding in the gondolas. The only thing I don't like about the Portrush giant wheel is basically that the gondolas don't spin. Because I remember causing a really intense cycle on the Portrush panoramic wheel. Basically, I spun the wheel non-stop up and you're basically shoved against the back of your seat like on the waltzer. It's kind of like a flying rotor. Now, due to time, I could not show you me building the supports. Now I'm just adding in the other side of the Ferris wheel, and again I had to cut out the footage of me building the support as well as building the boarding area and control booth. As well as I had to cut out me building the inflatable slide, the children's carousel, and the game stand. But I must admit, when I found out that the Ferris wheel was going to be coming to Keiland, I was actually really surprised. I was just like, geez, how are they managing to fit an attraction this large in such a small amusement park? Because before on the side of that, there was just a teacups ride, a plane ride, and a mini twister. Now Keiland has basically every single square meter filled to the top with rides. But anyways, that's me finished Keiland, and we're now moving on to building the amphitheater. This is also known as basically the circle that's out the front of Barry's, and this has gone through so many changes over the years. Basically, before the design was like this Colosseum-y design around the whole circle, but now it's been like changed to like this big covered like gazebo. As well as in the area where the big like two ship, I'm not sure how to describe it, things are, there used to be like the small fountain thing, but then that's gone, and then where those ship things now are, before when that was being built, actually the residents across actually complained about it because they actually thought that it would block the sea view, but then of course the Ferris wheel came and blocked their view even more, which annoyed them even more. But of course they didn't complain that much, but they complained a lot about the ship things. I'm not too sure what they are or what they're supposed to represent. So now I'm just digging a little bit of a hole just because that's where the platform's supposed to be, and on it there's like all these little fish. It's kind of cool looking. However, I'm not too sure if it was there in the original amphitheater, the one with the Colosseum style design. So as you can see, I did the fish section just light blue and white because it was the best I could do, as well as the rest of the thing is like this light grey colour, so I used light grey concrete. So now I'm just finishing up the grey section, and in real life I know it's more of this brick stuff, but there's no colours like that or like blocks like that in Minecraft. So now I'm adding in the stage, as well as like there's like this small stage section. Basically you have one set of stairs, and then you have the stage itself, and then you have another set of stairs, and then basically you have these like big blocky stairs, and those are basically like where people can sit and eat food and stuff. There's been a few shows there, especially it was used a lot during the Open and Pirates off Portrush. So now I'm just building the canopy / gazebo thing that goes over the stage. Now note in a moment there will be a lot of footage that's cut out. Basically me building the path around and all the stairs that lead up into this section is all cut out due to time, because this video would have actually been almost an hour long if I kept all that footage in. But to finish off today's episode, we're building a small donut shop. Before this used to be like a sweet shop, and before that it was like a teddy bear place, and even before that it was like this place called the Magical Toy Box. But now it's a donut shop, and on the top it has this like new Barry's logo on it. That's actually still standing, by the way, and on the top it still says existing since 1926. But that spear thing actually took a while until it was built. Basically, the new donut shop place opened at the very start of the 2018 season, and then like around like July time, that big ball thing was added. I think June or July it was added. I'm not going to build that at interior in today's episode. I'm going to leave that till tomorrow's episode. So now I'm just quickly building like the wee step that leads up to the area where the original factory shop is. Now that concludes today's time lapse. Hope you enjoyed it. So that's the end of episode 12 of Building Barry's Amusements in Minecraft. Today's episode was quite longer than I was expecting, mainly due to the amount of work I did. In tomorrow's episode, we're going to be adding the finishing touches to this big project. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe for more content like this in the future, including the grand reveal of what Barry's will be like once it's finished. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.